Hi friends and welcome to my new video. One of the most common tasks that we ask students to do in class is copying the content of the board. Students need something to refer back to when they go home about what they have studied in class. They want to refer back to it whenever they need. So it's important that we ask students to copy from the board, especially in situations where other facilities are not available, like worksheets or photocopying or whatever. But what about the task itself? The task of copying or the process of copying. Do your students find it interesting, or do you as a teacher find it useful? Does it help them learn? Of course, it is not interesting for most students. Most students find it boring. And as for teachers, I don't think it's very useful for them because it's very mechanical. It does not involve any thinking of the content while they write them, whether about the either about the form or even the meaning. So what about thinking of some ideas to turn this mechanical task into a meaningful activity which students may like to do? So in this video, we'll talk about some examples of these ideas. Okay, number one. So imagine that this is your board and you have these sentences. Okay, now think about these sentences. What is the target language here? Of course, this is grammar, but what is the target language? Yes, past passive. Okay, now you want your students to photo or to copy this content from the board. If you ask them just copy, they will do this in a very mechanical way. How can you turn it into a meaningful way? Okay, what about asking students to look at the board for 1 minute and telling them that after the minute, you will erase some words from the board, from these sentences, and then they will need to recall the missing words. So now, what will students do? During the 1 minute, they will have to look carefully and focus on the form of the sentence in order to be able to recall, because this has a kind of a challenge for them. So this is one way or one opportunity for them to learn. After that, after the minute finishes, you ask them, okay, now write the sentence. You erase some words. Of course, you can do this quickly in order not for them to know what you are erasing, or you ask them to close their eyes or whatever. Then you erase some words, asking them, okay, now write or copy the sentence, but complete sentences. So you have to complete the sentences with the missing words. So now while they are copying, they are thinking about the meaning of the sentence and also the form. So this is another opportunity for them to revisit the language that they have just studied. Another opportunity for learning. After they finish copying, you can ask them if you have time in class. So you can ask, okay, now check in pairs. This is another opportunity because they will compare answers. And finally, the teacher provides feedback. He writes the missing words on the board. Students compare against this answer key, which provides a fourth opportunity for learning. See, 4 opportunities for learning from nothing, just a very simple idea. Okay, so this is number one. We can call this activity or this kind of task gapped board. Okay, another idea. So if you look at this or at these sentences, how can you change just copying them into a meaningful or an interactive activity? The next idea, okay, you can ask students, okay, now look at the sentences and copy them in your notebook, but whenever you find a sentence which is true for you, write it in a different color. So if you write in blue, write it in red or black or whatever. So this means that students will be forced to think about the meaning of these sentences and decide whether they are true for them or not. This is also motivating because it is personalized. This is why we can call this activity personalized version of the board. So, or personalized board. So students need to make decisions about the sentences, whether they are true for them or not. After they finish, if you have time, you can ask students to mingle around the class and find someone who has the same sentence which are true for them. They form a pair. So this also provides opportunities for learning again or for visiting the language again, and also opportunity for natural language in classroom, because while they are mingling, they will ask each other, okay, what did you write? Which sentences are true for you? These kinds of questions and answers are natural language. Okay, but can all the sentences be personalized? So if you look at these sentences, can they be personalized? They are talking about things and animals, so we cannot personalize them. So what can we do? We can do the same thing, the same as the previous activity, but with a very simple change. What if you are, or if you ask students to copy the content of the board, but they write sentences which they agree with in blue, and sentences which they don't agree with in red. This means also that students will need to make or to interact with the meaning of the sentences, decide whether they agree or not. So this is a mental activity for them, and also kind of evaluative task. So they evaluate the sentence or the opinions on the board. So this also provides another opportunity for them to learn. When they finish, they can do the same. They mingle around the class and they find people who have the same opinions as them. Okay, so this is another way of doing so. What if the board has just vocabulary or words or collocations or whatever? Can this be personalized, or can we use the same? We can have different way. So look at these collocations. Okay, so we can ask students simply, okay, now copy these words, but not in this order. Copy them in the order you prefer them. Which of these words or collocations you like most? This will be number one. And you as a teacher, give example for this. Model this for yourself. So number one will be so, and why. So you order them in the order. Why do you prefer the first one? It can be because of its pronunciation. I like the pronunciation of the word, or because its meaning. I like this meaning because it relates to me, or it reminds me of something. The idea of providing a reason here forces students to think about why they do so, which includes a demanding activity or a challenging activity for them. And these demanding activity makes the language more, or activities make the language more memorable and returnable, as we have agreed about this. In a later lesson, you can ask students to reorder the words or the collocation in order of difficulty. Which one do you think is the most, or is the easiest will be number one, and the most difficult will be the last one. This also will drive or will draw students' attention to where difficulties are, which makes it for them, which make them focus more on these or in the order of importance. Which words or which collocation do you think is the most important to you? You will use in the next 2 or 3 weeks, for example, in English, if you use English. So these are all ideas that help you as a teacher provide opportunities for learning, in addition to make the sentences or make the students interact with the sentences or with the language on the board. Hope this is useful. Thank you so much, and meet you next week.